G'day and welcome back, and thank you for all the views and the new subscribers on my channel. It really gives me, it really buoys up me wanting to make these videos. What you see me doing is I've cracked out the hand tools for working on this area. This area is in the middle of the centerboard, the centerline timbers, the Pirate Ninja timbers. And this area will be used for a case for the centerboard. I'll talk about that later in the video. And this area will be exposed to the elements completely, i.e. it'll be in the water. And plywood end grain isn't really, well, any end grain of timber isn't really crash hot for exposing to timber or to water. So I need to line this this area with some structural timber, and in this case I'm using Carry, which is a hardwood grown in the southwest of Western Australia. It's a very straight grain, very strong. It's used in building bridges and building boats and building railway sleepers as well. A real good material for this process. I'm using hand tools for two reasons. One, I enjoy using hand tools, and two, because it's the best equipment for the job that I need to do. And what I'm doing here is I'm cutting chamfers into all the edges. I do that for a couple of reasons. One is to give the glue a place to expand into. The other reason is because the reinforcement doesn't like going around square edges. Now, in the very center of these centerline timbers, there's this added gap. You can see me priming the areas that had work done to it with epoxy, and then you'll see me fill in any spaces with thickened epoxy. Now, the edges you see me working on here, not only is it to allow the reinforcement to lay onto the timber and lay onto the timber properly, there's also going to be a moving part within this case. And again, moving parts, when they move across each other, they can get a tendency to jam and clonk about on the edges, which will actually break in the future. So I may as well just clean these edges so it's easier for things to move in relation to each other.
If you want us to get up and out of here, I think you're gonna have to do
Okay, so you've been seeing me work on this Pirate Ninja for a while now, and basically all it was gluing a bunch of plywood together. Now we're in a rather tricky position. What you see in front of you is the centerboard case. Now what the centerboard does is it's basically a hole in the boat, roughly 30 millimeters thick, and about 1500 millimeters long, or thereabouts. This piece of plywood is I'm basically a facsimile of the centerboard. The actual centerboard is considerably larger and made out of stainless steel, or will be made out of stainless steel. Now what this does is it will deploy like so when the boat is in the water. That means that there's this nice big heavy mass in the bottom of the boat to keep it nice and stable with the sails, and it can be pulled back up when I want to retrieve her. So really what this boils down to is the fact that I have a 30 millimeter by 1500 millimeter hole in the bottom of my boat, which can't be got around. So what I need to do is I need to make sure this thing is watertight. I also, because it's only 30 millimeters thick, I also need to make sure that it doesn't deteriorate quickly or basically fail in the long term. So to do that, I am going to line it with some reinforcement. Now there are some tricky things about this. First up, this hole here is a pivot hole for the centerboard. This hole here is an inspection hatch and maintenance hatch to work for all the mechanics to actually pull the centerboard up and down. So this part of the boat is only at its midpoint only going to be 9 millimeters thick on either side, because there'll be another piece of timber that goes down here identical to this. So I want to do reinforcing for a couple of reasons. One, yes, the plans call for it, but the other reason is that I need to make sure that it's more or less maintenance free, that it's not going to break, it's not going to misbehave, it's not going to do any of that when the boat is in commission. So I'm going to use 3 different species of, or actually 2 different species of reinforcement. I'm going to use this black stuff, which is actually carbon fibre, the real carbon fibre built by Mitsubishi. I'll just lay this out. This stuff gets stringy as. Gets a bit on the messy side, but I'm going to clean this up when I actually put all the vacuum bagging equipment and stuff on there. So that's where the carbon fibre will go. Bit neater, there we go. This is 200 gram 2x2 twill weave carbon fibre, supplied to me by Easy Composites, made by Mitsubishi. This will give a lot of rigidity for this centerboard case. The next thing I'm going to use is Kevlar. Now, Kevlar has been around for a while. Used to be used in sails. It's used a lot in the automotive industry, especially the racing industry, for puncture-resistant fuel petrol tanks. The other thing it's used for is ballistic vests. I don't want to call them bulletproof vests because it really depends on what kind of bullets you're shooting at. So this will go on top of here. Kevlar is a bit of a pain in the backside to use. Obviously it doesn't like being cut or sanded or whatever. So I've pre-cut the holes already because it's a lot easier doing that. Now finally, I'm going to fit another piece of material, and this is again Kevlar. This is a satin weave 100 grams per square metre satin weave Kevlar, and it will go on the top here. This is just giving it some final thickness. The plans did call for 400 grams per square metre reinforcement on the entire part, but I couldn't get 400 grams per square metre, so I'm using different materials.
Forget this, but I failed to mention that this is actually Kevlar, the Aramid brand developed by DuPont and trademarked by DuPont. So it is actually real Kevlar as opposed to the generic Aramid that can be sold, sold in places. So yeah, I can use the word Kevlar because that is actually what it is. All right, now while I've been working on the centerline timbers, my Pirate Ninja, I was also preparing the frames for the boat. And really what I was doing there is rounding over all the exposed plywood edges. I did that for the same reason. If I wanted to put reinforcing around there, it likes a nice curved edge. Also, if I for when I will inevitably trip over exposed areas in the boat, and there will be equipment such as ropes and pulleys, lines, blocks, sheets, all of that kind of stuff. It's really good to actually have a rounded surface. That way things don't get injured, like my toes, or and also ropes don't get chafed, and it's just a lot easier to do so now than when everything's installed in the boat. What I'm doing is it's basically on the router table with a little, I believe it's a 1/4 inch, quarter banana, so 6.35 millimetre or so round over bit. I can't remember the size of it, but it gave a pretty good round over for all the jobs. Now, a bit of news. My wife and I are off to the UK for 3 months, and if you would like me to post some home videos of what an Australian who hasn't travelled to anywhere internationally for a lot of his life, I'm more than happy to post things up on YouTube. If not, I do have a video in the making to tide you over until I come back. So again, thanks for watching, and thank you so much for subscribing. It really gives me hope that I'm doing things okay. If you have any comments as to how I can improve, because I know I can improve it, please mention something. Alrighty, thanks again, have a good time, and I will see you sometime later. Bye.